मैं तो अभी देखूँ क्या है डेटा डेटा कंट्री का है मैं सोच रही हूँ डेटा नहीं क्या
So it's a big one. We are doing right now is making our design. So how many agents do you need? Instead of one agent can do all of the tasks or is it that in one agent prospering of the customers, a different agent for the marketing? How are you going to approach
Our future is the company
अभी ये करने के लिए डेटा क्या चाहिए
क्या है पूरा टेबल
क्या है
डेटा दिया और कौन सा
Yeah, it's hard to
ठीक है डेटा that you had your customers what spend quantity value frequency
Okay, so now it's time for me to share what I did, right? So, basically, what we want to avoid is just jumping in developing without knowing what we are developing for. That's a common mistake that we do as developers, data scientists, and very technical people, is we just jump and do stuff and then it doesn't have to do anything with what the business needs. That's a very common problem we face. That's why we have time here to think like, hey, and then you face that question. Well, what am I actually supposed to be doing, right? So I feel that we were having that question a lot. This is the design that I'm proposing. As I mentioned, that's my design, but I kind of invite you to diverge from me and do something different. That would be cool. Basically, what I want is, hey, I have this business that has all of these online customers, and these online customers, what do I want as a business? Probably is money, right? So I have a data set that has products. What's the product that I'm selling the most? Or how can I engage my customers so they buy more so I get better profit? Or do I have a kind of customer that is better that maybe I want to take a very good care of and I do need to care about? So in my case, I decided that I want to do 5 different agents. The first one is an insights agent, so that's a data analyst. It will handle any question that is a general question. Basically, I don't know, how many months do we have of history? How many customers do we have in the database? Then we have a segmentation agent. So that segmentation agent will be doing the clustering, saying like, how do the customer look like? How can I divide them, basically? So do I have like 3 or 4 segments of customers, one that are very engaged, the other ones that are very low value customers? How do we classify them? The third agent is a strategy agent. That strategy is the one that will give me marketing plans or marketing campaigns or ideas. So we have, sorry, this is the timer. Yes, so the strategy agent will be the one that gives me ideas on how to do the marketing to my different segments of customers. Then we have this, the ethics and safety agent. So before I give an answer to the customer or to the user of my agents, I want to ensure that that response is correct, that it's not hallucinating. So, hey, we can have maybe an agent that helps us figure out if the answer is valid or not. And then at the end, I have to put all of these to work together. So for making them work together, we will need an orchestrator. And that's the one that will handle all the tasks. It will say, okay, we are needing segmentation, so go to the segmentation agent. Oh, we are needing just a plot of the different modes, so go to the analyst agent. Does that make sense? Was it similar to your steps? I hope no. So, because we are designing, there are some questions that we want to answer. The kind of questions for my first agent is the insights agent. I want to know, hey, what's the specific goal of this agent? So when we are doing multi-agent, the best practice is that one agent handles a very specific task, and then it has a clear goal. Then we have data sources that are essential, but what do we have available to? What steps are defining the agent's workflow? How should the output be presented? So maybe if it is an output that is going to be fed into a different agent, we need a specific kind of output, like a JSON file or a CSV or something like that. But if it is to a human, the way to output the answer will be different. And then what guardrails do we need to include for safety and ethical purposes? And I'm sure that you're looking to build your first agent. So here we go. Basically here we have the main structure of agents. We are going to use Google ADK, which is Agent Developer Kit. The basic structure is that we will have to import the agent. We will have to give a name to the agent and the description. Please be very good at that description, because the orchestrator agents look at that to understand how should handle each of the tasks. Then we have the model that we will need to use and the instructions. Hey, you are a data analyst and we'll do this and that. And we can give it some tools. So in this case, I created a tool for describing that data frame and for running Python code. We have the documentation of the ADK kits from Google there, but we also have a notebook. So I would like you to open the Kaggle notebook. In the Kaggle notebook, you will see the first couple of pages, but let's focus on the first one. Let me actually move there. So for this one, we will have 15 minutes. Let's start it now, but let me show you what do we mean. So this is the working notebook. Basically, you will find here like the summary of what we are doing today. What's the business problem that we are solving for? What's the business opportunity? Something that for those who are students or who are looking for a job, something that we need to do is translating well what we are able to do. And the best way to translate what we are able to do is identifying how we are solving the business problems. What's the business opportunity? So that's why I put that there. It's not developing for the sake of development. And then what's our objective for the agent? The tools that we are using, data sets. And here, first thing that you will see is that we are installing the packages that we need. So in this case, it's Google Gemini and Google ADK. And then Python environment sometimes, like we will need for the API from Google, from Gemini. Then some packages that we need over the full notebook. And the first thing that you will see there is setting up your Google Gemini API key. So basically that your secret is like a password, so don't share it with people. That one we will need to read in this environment to be able to submit API calls and to be able to call Gemini more. And I created a very simple agent. So basically, this agent, the only thing that this agent does is that whatever question you ask, it will answer with today's date in London, Ontario. No matter what you ask. That's the task of this agent. Very simple. But what you will see there is that, hey, we have the building block that I just showed you. We will need to go into the session. So for a notebook, we will need to create a session, and then with that session, we will be able to run the agent. But what we care more about is this part, because this session is typically handled by the operations team, right? Or when we move towards this interface, here we don't need to care about that. So it wasn't working this morning, let's see. It's having problems with the connection. As usual, demos happen that way. But yeah, basically this one you just need to copy and paste. It will be solved for you later. Don't worry about that one so much. Worry more about this part. Then after are comfortable with the demo agent, we get into, hey, this is the data. We need to get that data into the notebook so the agent has access to it. One important thing is like, hey, today we are not looking at the data itself, so feel free to go to this notebook if you want to explore it more. And we will build that agent that will help us understand that data. So it is here. For some reason, sometimes this doesn't work, the import, so I did it twice. And then we get to the description. For this description, it's like, hey, Sandra, you're so good at English. You know, we don't even feel your accent. Well, let me tell you that LLMs can help you write these instructions. So, guess what I did? In this case, I was using Copilot, but you can tell it what you want. So, hey, Copilot, I'm building an agent that is going to read a data set and answer questions from the user. Give me the instructions. And Copilot with, or Gemini or Open ChatGPT will do that for you. But basically, we want to have a very good description of our agent for it to work. So yeah, I think please do hands-on. I will be going around in case you have questions. You can run the notebook, change instructions, and let's focus in the first agent. So a good point here is that this notebook that I'm sharing here, you can copy. I just need to remember how to, but yeah, copy and edit. Basically, there in the upper part, you'll have copy and edit the notebook. That will kind of fork it or make it available for your own account for those that are new to Kaggle. So just copy and edit the notebook, and that will let you play with it. So basically, don't worry, you won't destroy my notebook.
Yo creo que creé el guardo en GitHub.
No, en GitHub no.
O si es que está conectado. Curioso.
For those who don't know Kaggle, it actually has competitions too. So you could get like $10,000 or something like that.
ये follow me करने का
Are you okay, guys? It's okay. Good? Okay, excellent. If you want, you can run it in the same case so you don't have to to go giving myself a challenge. No, yeah, no worries, no worries. It's just for the time. This one. Okay. So let's say how.
So I got a very good question just now about adding the secret. Basically, and let me just copy my own notebook, then I can delete it. Once you copy that notebook, you will be able to run it. So I'm here in the first one. You can run it here, right? Or you can just, oops. If I do run, it will ask me about my secrets. For the secret, you go to unknown secrets, and then you will have to add your Google API key. That Google API key comes from Google AI Studio, So we come here. We go to get API key. You will need to add a new project, and then you copy that. You copy that information as if it was a password. Then you go back to Kaggle. That I lost now. Now I lost Kaggle. Yeah. Then you come back to here and you copy that key there. Then you do this check mark, and that means that that notebook is attached to that key. That makes sense.
कॉपी किया था मैं यहाँ पे रन रहेगा पिछला
ये मेरा इनपुट आउटपुट
तेरा नहीं है
मेरा ही है ये मेरा नहीं है, ये इसका ये बाजू ये मेरा
चल तो गया ऑलरेडी
क्या चल गया कुछ भी ये रनिंग रन किया ही नहीं है प्रॉम्प्टिंग बता रहे हैं कैसे करना है इधर से कॉपी करना
ये जो कैगल है ना इसमें डॉक्यूमेंट और
डॉक्यूमेंट और कोड दोनों एक सबके कॉपी हाँ तो करंट सेंस में कैसे सिलेक्ट करूँ
पूरा ये जो चलाना पूरा ये चलाना
सीक्रेट अभी घड़ी सेम चीज को क्या
Use a comment there. In this case, the notebook is reading this global API key that name. So if you preserve the name, you will avoid problems. If not, then change the name to the secret that you have. But I will say let's put this name just to avoid small issues.
नहीं ना करें गूगल पे कहाँ अलग लग रहा है इससे
ये सब बना हुआ है
इधर देखो पता है किधर पे गूगल पे
साइड में डाल ऐड इनपुट में डाल गूगल करना
It seems कुछ सही इंस्ट्रक्शन नहीं देते हैं पहले प्रोजेक्ट करना पड़ेगा
Sometimes I feel you.
I think that's because there are many people
That's how it
तेरा जो वहाँ पे कोड है जो रन करेगी ना
ये डालिए उसके बाद अभी ये किया नहीं क्या होगा कहाँ पहुँचे
स्टार्ट हो गया
अरे अभी भी चल रहा है इसका
आपके टाइम हो रहा है
और उसको दिखेगा कहाँ में क्या हो रहा है
ये फाइट किया ना जब खत्म हो जाएगा तो इंस्टॉलेशन
Morning. मुझे भी देख ले ये अभी तक चल रहा है कहाँ से पता चलेगा क्या होगा
मेरा नेटवर्क इशू है ठीक है हो गया
कुछ भी स्टॉप
I was yes, so what we have is because we were to lab with like I didn't prepare for that. So I know it was Kaggle, but it probably won't go to the it was probably going to
water
be effort, but we don't understand it.
आगे अभी तो रिक्वायरमेंट ऑलरेडी सेट
ठीक है हो गया कैसा हो
कैसे चल गया इधर 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 सेल्फ देख वो भी चल रहा
मैं बस कोड चला रहा
उसको होने तो दे ये देखिए क्या आ रहा है
मेरे पास नेटवर्क ही नहीं है तो डाउनलोड नहीं हो रहा है
कनेक्ट सब एक साथ चल रहे हैं सब एक साथ चल रहे हैं Staring like this line viewing.
Okay. A couple of common errors that we are getting, and I will continue because unfortunately the time is running out on us and it's lunchtime. So basically a couple of common errors is this Google API. Remember that because the notebook has that name, I suggest to put that one. The other one is some people is getting errors with this installation part. So for solving those, basically you can restart in run, you can restart and clear all the cell output, so that restarting is helping with that download. You might need to do that a couple of times. Okay. So did anybody get to run the notebook? Who needs to get to run the notebook without errors? I just wanna check only one person. 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. We have a couple of extra places to stop. So I will kind of continue with the next part, but don't worry, there is like another place to stop and continue this. So basically right now the notebook will have built the insights agent. The notebook also has the segmentation agent and the orchestrator agent. It looks like that will be all what we can do today, but because of the time, but I want you to understand all of the notebook. Basically, when we are starting to speak about, hey, we want to connect the insights agent with the next agent, which is the one that we call segmentation agent, that's where we need some other agent to know where to send the instructions to. And here we start talking about multi-AI agents. So what's happening in those multi-AI agents is that the user will interact with one orchestrator, and the orchestrator will define who is going to handle that task, which agent is supposed to be the question going to. So if it's a question related to segmentation, hey, go directly to the segmentation agent. If it's a question related to anything else, then it's a general question, go to the insights agent. Those agents have access to tools. So if you see in the notebook, there is that tool for describing the dataset and the tool for running the code. We could also have a tool that does the segmentation itself. And that will help us create, like, for example, the same number of clusters of customers at every step. So some questions that we want to think about when designing the segmentation agent is like, hey, which are the customer behaviors and features that are relevant for us as a business? How can we accurately do the clustering? So in that notebook that you see there, the agent is deciding which clustering method to use. We are saying like, hey, you can use this and that, and it is deciding for us. But to improve the output, we could be building the functions that say, hey, no, this is the way that you are going to build the clusters. Why doing that instead of letting the agent decide is because with the agents we have the tricky part that they can give you different answers all the time. And in the real world, we want to have repeatability many times. So having that extra tool is something that we want to do. For a coordinator agent, that one that will manage this tool that we are building, we have a similar structure. So we can use the same kind of agent, giving the instructions like, hey, this is what you want to do. But we will have to ensure that it has the sub-agents. Like, hey, you are using the insight sub-agent and the segmentation sub-agent. So those are the ones that you are calling. And we can start adding memory. So if you see this part of output key, it's starting to save the status. So because we have the data set that is outside, we need to make sure that the agents kind of know where to find the data set and remember where it is. That's the part where we can put those output keys. There are different ways to build the coordinator agent. So the first one is this general agent one, but there are some that are sequential, parallel, or loop. Basically, sequential will be if we need to ensure that the agents are done in a specific order. Parallel, if we want to distribute tasks, maybe we want to do half of the data with one agent and the other half with the other. And then loops is, I don't know, generate 10 images of cats. So maybe you want to do that loop till the 10 images are generated. There is information of that workflow in the documentation from ADK, so I let you there. And I want to move a little bit faster here before we stop again. But basically, what we want to think about, like, no, we have the 15 minutes. Lunch is supposed to be at 12:30. Are you okay to go till 1? What is that? So we have 20 minutes more for what we are building. That means like we have time to work in this. I would say let's focus on these agents. I want to have the hands-on and that we end up with a working prototype. So I will talk a little bit quicker on this part of why we are building the ethics. And I will do that a small demo that I wanted to show you. So basically, kind of questions that we want to ask for our strategy agent is how can that agent tailor marketing campaigns to our customer base? What strategies can we use to engage the customers? How do we balance that personalization with not doing micro marketing? And how do we adapt to changing data, for example? And here is the case that I'm more passionate about, and it's safety and ethics. So before we go back to the hands-on, let's think about what can we grow. Like I say, it's like the question shouldn't be can something go wrong, but what can go wrong? And we have seen that many things can go wrong with AI. So in the down part of my screen, let me put the laser here, and I'm now figuring out how small it is. We have that AI has the potential to create harm to people, right? And it's many times unintended. It's not like that the developer was like, hey, I want to harm somebody. It just happens to be. That's why we need to be careful when we design. So one of the examples on there is a tool that Amazon had. It was an AI way to screen the resumes of people, and this AI tool ended up taking away the applicants that were women. So that's very dangerous, right? We don't want that to happen. This is a news from 2018, so not too long ago. We have also that worry with AI agents and with AI being so spread out the scams. So there is more powerful to build faster those scams. Now we see videos that we cannot recognize when they are fake or when they are real. We don't know anymore. So that's very risky, for example, for elderly people to get into these romance scams, just as an example, and even for ourselves, no matter what age we are. We have a couple of weeks ago, I think it was less than a month ago, there was a research that showed how different AI tools were suggesting different salary negotiation numbers, and it was suggesting lower salary to women and to people of color. So we have to be aware of, hey, this is happening, we need to think on that. And finally, like we have our Nobel Prize, Canadian Nobel Prize, Geoff Hilton. He is considered the godfather of AI, and he's kind of worried and raising the flags. So I don't know, he's a smarter than me, so maybe I should be worried too. So it's like, maybe let's pay attention to those kind of situations. And AI agents in themselves have risk, right? So there might be unintended situations or unintended behaviors that cause harm. There can be sensitive data disclosure, so I think everybody of us have seen in the news like, hey, it was able to leak data from a company. We have unpredicted behavior, so underlying AI, there is a statistics. And there is these models that are not always deterministic, so it gives you a different answer every time. Even when you say ask the same questions to just ChatGPT multiple times, the answer is different. So how do we know which one is better, which answer is real, which answer is not? And then we have the security challenge. So traditional software security is different than the security that we have to think of for AI. So we have like many things to build and learn before getting there. Because we're in Google, there is the Google Security Framework. We will have that kind of framework for other companies, IBM, Microsoft, etc. They all have like ways to do responsible AI and security. The one of AI proposed a hybrid approach where we have human controllers limit the powers for the AI agent. So you won't give your AI agent the power of your full production data set, please don't do. And then observe, like being able to observe the action. So transparent information. It's not like, hey, you know, AI go and told me, for example, in this data set, there are 38 different countries, but how can we check if that's information that is true or not? This is technically what we can do is we can create identity and authorization. We can do guardrails, so basically create callbacks. There is a link there in case you want to read more and you want to implement those guardrails in this kind of agents that we are building today. Those are a little bit more advanced, so I didn't grab them for the day. And kind of questions that we want to ask. Basically, the one notebook that I built, it has that safety, like I call it ethics and safety agent. So what it does is that before I give any answer to the customer or to the user, I want that agent to verify the information. Because we are just exploring, it might not be the perfect agent, but that's a way to do it. That's AI, testing AI. So it's always, we need that human in the loop. If you ask, what kind of questions we want to ask is, hey, how can we measure bias, for example? How can we identify or block if the user is intending to do something bad with our agent? How can we detect, sorry. How can we ensure that those recommendations that we are making in this case are inclusive? How can we maintain that transparency of what the agent is doing? To me, we don't want to be blindsided to what AI is doing and say like, hey, you know, just because ChatGPT says so, or just because Gemini says so. And then before we dig into the notebooks, maybe if you want, we can go to the working one, but this is the final architecture that I built for the agents. Basically, if you see, we have the user interacting here in this layer. I created two different coordinator agents. So there is a root agent, that's the one that the user interacts with. That root agent passes the task to the coordinator agent. This one says, okay, of you three guys, and now we are treating them as humans. So of you three guys, who is the one that is supposed to be handling this task? And then before any answer is given, we move towards the ethics and safety agent. So here we have that sequential coordinator, and then we go back to the user. All of the agents have access to the data, to different tooling, and to the memory of what's going on in the session. And if you want to check on the final code, we have the GitHub repository there and the Kaggle notebook, in case you want to check out. When you have the GitHub repository, you can get to the web interface. It wasn't working this morning, so let's see if we are lucky. Nope. But I have some screenshots just because this always happens when you are in the spot, right? So, want to see this one? Yes. Okay. Let me show you. So this is how the output of that web interface looks like. Just give me a sec. So we will have, when I was testing it, thankfully I took screenshots. So basically I was asking, hey, classify the customers in 5 clusters and explain those clusters and tell me how can I increase the sales in each of the clusters. So, I don't know if I can make it bigger. So basically it was using the different agents. So you can see here the purple one is the coordinator agent. And then it gives me an answer, and it gives me a very nice table saying like, hey, this is how many days have passed since the last purchase, the frequency of purchase of this kind of customer, what's the monetary spent. So it's clustering my customers in different ways, and it's giving me ideas on how to increase the sales to them. So that's the end result of what we want to build today. Time, unfortunately, is not in our favor. But let me check with your screen again so you can play with it later on. You can find it there. I hope at least 1 or 2 people were able to run the notebook. And then, before we do a little bit more hands-on, just before the launch, this is the little announcement I promised. We are going to launch a Women in AI London and Southwestern Ontario chapter. That launch will be in October the 30th in Tech Alliance, and we will have a discussion panel with very amazing women leaders in the tech and AI area. So please follow us in LinkedIn. The information will be there. I'm hoping to see you there. And then if you already took that page, then we can get hands-on and I will answer questions. So I really hope everybody can at least run the notebook. So just raise your hand.
I have one question.
Yes.
What's the benefit of having multiple agents do different things instead of having just one agent do multiple things?
So one common thing that we might want to do is that, hey, why don't we have only one agent doing everything? I think the risk there is that ability that we have to control. Because if you don't specify the objective to the agent, they will try to do stuff that maybe we don't want. So in this case, it might try to go to Google and search for stuff. And that might be away from what we want for our company. It might give us advice to a very different kind of customer that we have. Also, when we have agents that are specialized, I think that works better in the way that we understand what's going on and we can make modifications. It's also modular. So if something goes wrong, we might know better which agent to fix or which agent do we need to fix. And in some sense, it's also as human intelligence. Would you prefer, like if you have a problem with your health, would you prefer to go to the specialist of the kidneys that you are having problems with, or to somebody that just know everything, like about everything, but maybe is not specialized on kidney itself? So I think that could be like an analogy there. Any other questions? Yep.
I wanted to ask about the different agents that you have, so 5 agents. Did you use the data that you had available to inform that decision, or was it more so like, okay, we can copy one and you kind of use the data to
So in this case, what I cared about was the problem that we have as a business. And it can happen also in the business world, right? The CEO doesn't know which data do we have. They just know, hey, I have this problem, I need to solve it. You go and solve it. And then you go and say, okay, how can I approach this problem? And then what information do I have? Like, I have many different paths. And then from the many different paths, what's possible? So what I did today was basically which kind of problem do I want for us to solve? It was, okay, let's do something that is data science related. Then I looked for a data set that was making sense or that was easy to handle for us today. And then I say, okay, what's the business problem that we can relate to this data set? So a little bit different than in the business world will look like. Then once I have the business problem, I could come with, okay, what data do we have and what can my agents help me do? So I think it's like that combination of mainly what's my business problem and what information is available there. Any other questions? Okay. Did anybody get to run the full notebook? Be honest with me. Oh, good. Oh, amazing. I'm happy now. So, yeah, I was like sad that people might not be able to run it. So now that you run that notebook, you see that it only has 3 agents, and we wanted to create 5. I intentionally did only those 3 because I want you to create your next agents from scratch. So once you're at home, you don't have like too much to do, or if you're working your web portfolios, like go and check that out. Any other questions? I think so I think like that will be basically. I hope to see you on October the 30th. And thank you very much for being here today. I really appreciate it. If you have any questions, like we are heading for lunch, but I will be here a little bit more. So thank you very much.
Thank you.